Welcome. Today, we're going to map out an inner journey that's, well, it's often confusing and definitely challenging, but ultimately, it's one of the most transformative experiences you can have. We're talking about spiritual awakening. So let's dive in.
You know, this quote from Albert Camus really just nails it. He points to this fundamental human crisis, right? Our deep, deep need for meaning, and how it just smashes up against a world that so often feels silent and unreasonable. It's right there, in that gap, that profound disconnect, that the journey of awakening so often begins.
And I bet this feels familiar. On the surface, everything looks fine. You've got the job, the routine, the whole setup. But inside, there's this growing sense of unease. It's like you're just going through the motions, and the mask you wear for the world is starting to feel heavy, maybe even starting to crack. This is that first hint of a fracture between the person you've become and the person you intuitively know you're meant to be.
This feeling, this inner nudge, is what many people call the call. It's really the first stage of a spiritual awakening, that unmistakable signal from deep within yourself that it's time to look inward. So what exactly is this process? Well, at its core, a spiritual awakening is really a process of remembering who you truly are. It's this huge shift in consciousness that takes you beyond the limits of your ego, that social mask we all wear, and connects you with your deeper, authentic self. And suddenly, you start to experience life with this profound new sense of presence and aliveness.
What's so interesting is how this journey can kick off. For some people, it's like a lightning strike, a major life crisis, a big loss, a sudden, jarring change. But for others, it's just a quiet whisper. It could be a single line in a book or a chance conversation that just suddenly unlocks a whole new way of seeing the world.
To help us navigate this, we can think of it as a four-stage journey, a lot like the classic hero's journey. It starts with the call, which we've just talked about. Next up is crossing the threshold, where you start to notice all the signs. Then comes the abyss, a challenging but absolutely crucial phase. And finally, the rebirth and return, where you emerge completely transformed. So after hearing that call, you cross the threshold. This is the stage where you start noticing these undeniable signs that your inner world is shifting, even if it feels pretty confusing at first.
And these signs can show up in all kinds of ways. You might feel a little detached from your old habits, but at the same time, your empathy for others and for nature just deepens intensely. You might find yourself questioning everything and feeling this really strong need for solitude just to think. Basically, it's like the world starts speaking to you in a whole new language.
And then there are the synchronicities. You know what I'm talking about? Those meaningful coincidences that happen so often they're impossible to ignore. Like thinking of an old friend right before they call, or seeing repeating numbers everywhere. It's not magic, it's more like resonance. Think of them as cosmic winks, little guideposts confirming that your inner and outer worlds are finally starting to align. Okay, so after the initial excitement of all these new perceptions, the journey often leads to its most challenging phase, the abyss. This is often called the dark night of the soul. And listen, this can be a period of intense confusion, loneliness, and some serious emotional upheaval.
But it is so crucial to understand this. The abyss is not a punishment. It is not a sign that you're on the wrong path. It is a necessary and profound process of integration. This is the part where you finally begin to face all those pieces of yourself that you've buried or denied.
The psychologist Carl Jung said, "The shadow is 90% gold." The shadow is all the parts of ourselves we've repressed, the anger, the shame, the fear. Facing this darkness isn't meant to destroy you. It's meant to make you whole. It's in these hidden parts that our greatest strengths, our creativity, and our authenticity are so often locked away.
And it's important to be honest about how isolating this can feel. As your old identity crumbles, you can feel completely lost, like you're stuck in a dark tunnel with no end in sight. The people around you might not understand, which only makes the loneliness feel deeper. But please know this is a sacred, even if it's painful, part of the process.
But there is a light at the end of that tunnel. Emerging from the abyss, you enter the stage of rebirth and return. This is where you begin to reconstruct your identity, not based on external expectations, but on the authentic truth you've discovered deep inside yourself.
This slide really shows the core transformation. You shift from living as the persona, that social mask, driven by your ego and a constant need for approval, to embodying your authentic self.
And this self, it's whole, it's guided by your intuition. It expresses its truth without fear.
And here is the real game changer. Your internal guidance system completely flips. You stop looking outside for answers and you start listening to that quiet, firm voice within. Your intuition becomes your primary compass. You begin to simply know the right path, and you learn to trust that inner wisdom completely.
This all leads us to the final stage of the journey, which, well, it isn't really an end at all. It's a whole new way of being. It's about integrating this newfound awareness into every single moment of your life.
At this point, another profound shift occurs. The illusion of being separate from the world just dissolves. It's replaced with what's known as unity consciousness, a deeply felt, undeniable connection to the universe, to nature, and to every other person.
And this perfectly illustrates the fundamental shift in your motivation. With that new sense of unity comes a powerful drive for purpose. The ego's default question, "What can I get?" is replaced by the soul's guiding question, "What can I give? How can I be of service?"
Finally, it's so vital to remember this isn't a destination. There's no finish line you cross. Awakening is a continuous, spiraling process of embodying more of your truth, living in deeper alignment, and constantly discovering new layers of yourself and the world. So we end here. This journey isn't about becoming better by someone else's standards. It's about becoming whole, integrating every single part of yourself, both the light and the shadow. And the only question that really matters is, as you look at this map we've laid out, where are you on the journey today?